Hello, you're welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Esther Vese. The European Union has announced a new £47 million humanitarian aid to Nigeria. The new funding is part of £232 million humanitarian and development assistance by the European Union to countries around the Lake Chad Basin. Other countries who will benefit from the package are Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. Now, £58.75 million had earlier been announced in July 2018 as part of humanitarian assistance provided by the EU to Sahel countries. The humanitarian assistance will cover the acute food and nutrition needs as well as supporting protection activities, access to basic health care, and shelter. The EU will also support livelihoods, helping people rebuild their lives daily. The European Union donation comes hours after donor countries pledged an additional $2.17 billion to assist in the recharging of the Lake Chad Basin. The pledge was part of resolutions reached at a conference on Boko Haram, which was organized by Nigeria, Germany, Norway, and the United Nations. The conference, which is holding in Berlin, focuses on humanitarian assistance, civilian protection, crisis prevention, and stabilization of the region. The donors, who include over 70 countries, the international organizations, and non-governmental organizations, pledge that the money will be made available in the coming years. They say it will be supplemented by $467 million in cheap credits from development banks. Meanwhile, Nigeria and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan have now agreed to work together to fight terrorism. The collaboration was part of a resolution during a meeting between the Pakistani High Commissioner to Nigeria, Waka Kingravi, and Permanent Secretary Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Olukunle Bangboshe. Both officials also agreed that their respective countries will work together in areas of military, trade, and culture.
The two countries have been collaborating in the area of defense cooperation. Military also, they go to Pakistan for training, and of course they also visit our defense college. And then, of course, we also need to resuscitate the joint commission between our two countries. We had the last one in Pakistan. The next one is supposed to be in Nigeria. We have not been able to hold that. So we discussed that and how we can use that platform to also discuss issues of mutual interest between both countries.
Pakistan and Nigeria face similar problems. We are facing the problem of militancy and terrorism, and Pakistan has a lot of experience, gained a lot of experience in the last 10-15 years of fighting this problem, and our armed forces are ready to transfer that experience to Nigerian armed forces in fighting the Boko Haram or any other militants which are in the area. So we are not only willing to give you the training and in these fields, but also the equipment, and our defense industry is capable of providing not only mid-level but some high-level technology and arms and ammunitions and other equipment to fight this problem of militancy and help the Nigerian armed forces in gaining ascendancy over these militants.
The Nigerian police have paraded 31 suspects, which include 3 commanders belonging to 6 different gangs. They are arrested in hideouts following renewed kidnapping activities and banditry along the Abuja, Kaduna, Funtua, and Zamfara highways. The police also arrested the gang members that abducted Sheikh Mohammed Ahmed Al-Kawi in Kaduna State and collected 12 million naira as ransom before he was released. 22 AK-47 rifles, 1 light automatic rifle, 2 single-barreled guns, 1 locally made pistol, and 1 Dane gun, and 247 rounds of ammunition were recovered from the gangs. The police spokesman, Jimo Mashood, also says some of the suspects have confessed to be responsible for the killing of 11 soldiers in Birnin-Gwari, Kaduna State, last year. And now in politics, a former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, has dumped the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the Social Democratic Party, SDP. Duke will also pursue his presidential ambition under this new party. Now, the former governor picked the presidential form of his new party at his secretariat in Abuja. He was received by the National Secretary of the SDP, Shehu Gabam, and Publicity Secretary Alpha Mohammed and other top party members. Meanwhile, a former Senate President, David Mark, has joined the 2019 presidential race. The senator picked the presidential nomination form of the People's Democratic Party at the Secretariat in Abuja. Mark is a long-time lawmaker who has been in the Nigerian Senate since 1999. He served as a Senate President between 2007 and 2015. Mark says his experience will serve him well as he seeks the nation's highest office.
So I think I've garnered enough experience to be able to move the country in the direction that all Nigerians want, and that is direction of prosperity, good economic policies, reduce the level of insecurity in the country, let Nigerians become very proud citizens that they are Nigerians anywhere they go, and they can hold their head very high, create job opportunity for the youths, teeming youths, and change the economy. Like I said, there are a lot of young boys and girls working in my team who are very vibrant and who are very articulate and who know what they want. So we are a focused team.
And now China and Nigeria have agreed to a new partnership which will see the Asian country build cultural centers in the West African country. The deal is another step in the partnership between the countries that has grown in recent years. The cultural counselor, Chinese Embassy in Nigeria, Li Shuda, says his country chose to work with Nigeria because of its large population and rich heritage.
China now attaches great importance to culture and cultural exchanges between China and Africa, especially between China and Nigeria, because in my eyes, Nigeria is the largest economy and the most populous country in Africa. Since we have similar historical experience, we share the development growth in the field of culture and tourism. China values cooperation with Nigeria in these fields and look forward to a higher level of cooperation. I'm convinced in the near future, the number of China tourists will highly increase. More and more Chinese people will visit the beautiful Nigeria, experience its rich and colorful culture.
Officials of the Nigerian government present at the event say the partnership will not just boost the relationship between the two countries, but will also boost tourism in Nigeria.
We're short of cultural centers in Nigeria. Some states don't even have anywhere to showcase the best of what they are producing. So I came and I took it upon myself that now the time has come, we must put up a cultural center in every state of the Federation, including Abuja, of course. This will be a new beginning, because if you don't give what you have, people will take what they see. And the only way we can do it now, look, do you imagine that this cultural center is owned by the Chinese? Now, we find it comfortable to be here, and some states don't even have anything to show. So I want to show during my time in office to start a new beginning in the cultural content of our country.
Definitely, we all know that the president of Nigeria is even in China. So what it means is that there are other African leaders that are there and are getting into such partnership that tends to portend for the future. So what we are doing here is not a replica of that, but to essentially sensitize people so they understand that there are certain relations that we have with other nations, but especially with China right now, that calls for applause, but not just applause, but for understanding also, so we can key into those strategic areas also.
The Nigeria Postal Services is set to improve its cross-border e-commerce service and create jobs for the country's unemployed youths through its digital address verification system. The traceable addressing system will also facilitate immigration services, issuance of driving license, and e-government services. The Postmaster General of NIPOS, BC Adegbuyi, explained that the tools will also help strengthen service delivery system in Nigeria. Now, on his part, the Minister of Communication, Adebayo Shitu, encouraged all stakeholders to work with NIPOS to sustain the high quality of service.
We have developed a solution to deploy electronic stamping and earn a huge amount of revenue. Why are we doing this? It is a fulfillment of the mandate of Mr. President. 1, 3 major plans of his campaign: the war against corruption, fight against insecurity. The digital addressing system that we're going to introduce will substantially reduce crime in Nigeria because it has the capacity to rein in guys who commit crime under the guise of anonymity. Don't do it, because we now know where you stay. And lastly, we're going to use the post to generate huge employment to Nigerians.
Digital addressing system, like I said, is just one of it. We looked at what the situation is in our country. We know that more than 60% of Nigerians live in the rural areas. We also do know that less than half of the 774 local governments in Nigeria have banking infrastructure of whatever means or whatever description. So one of the things that NIPOS is bringing on board is to really use its more than 1,600 facilities across the country into a form of banking services. So we hope to establish a NIPOS banking and insurance company so that everybody in this country will be financially included in our economic or financial situation.
We'll take a short break right now, but stay tuned because up next is News in Business.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
You're welcome back. And now we have with us TV360's Fidelia Aguncha with most recent developments. Hi, Fidelia.
Hi, Esther.
The president seems to be pleased with the relationship between Nigeria and China. In fact, it says the trade relation has been quite a benefit. So what's the news on that, Fidelia?
Well, Buhari says relations between both countries, that is Nigeria and China, has resulted in the execution of vital infrastructure projects worth over $5 billion across Nigeria in the last 3 years. The president also says the relations have helped Nigeria address significant challenges in the areas of infrastructure, human capacity development, power, transport, agriculture, and humanitarian assistance. Buhari also praised China's continued support for Nigeria's rail infrastructure project and specifically hailed China's contribution to the Abuja and Kaduna rail line, Lagos-Kano rail line, and Zungeru hydroelectric power project and fiber cables. The Vice-Chancellor of the Bells University of Technology, Professor Jeremiah Ojediran, and other notable members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers Ikeja branch have called on the government to assist local engineers. They have also asked the government to invest in research and in higher institutions in the country. Now, the engineers also want the government to create a better environment for investors to come into the country.
Engineering is the propelling force to make a nation great. Infrastructures are things that can make a nation to be one of the best. But the unfortunate thing is that Nigeria, we are not really getting there because we are not making the fullness usage of our engineers. But I want to appeal, use this medium to appeal to government to please, for the sake of our future, to allow Nigerian engineers to perform. And I believe they will be surprised what we can do.
What happens when things collapse? But here I believe that the government itself should find out who designed, who constructed. There are proven authorities. How did they come about those buildings? And if you check very well, I mean, in every profession there are quacks who claim to be engineers who are not. Every building will be designed, and then there will be structural analysis of the building, of every structure. Apart from that, we do soil analysis. Those are the things that we must look into.
We still need to be encouraged more. We thank God for the Executive Order 5 that has just been released, and we hope that it will be well and very truly, observed and implemented. If it is, then that will be a break for the Nigerian engineer, because then the indigenous engineer will have a better ground, to practice his profession.
A lot will be done in the area of the elders, the leaders, governments, parastatals, looking into it, because engineering is the engine room of a nation. And where there are development, engineers are supposed to be entrepreneurs. And this actually will derive from the fact that if there could be actually research and development by the government, where people can be trained on innovative ideas of how to establish engineering enterprise, where you can employ others, where you can do things. I know that even starting from even fluorescent fitting, light fittings, engineers can do it.
Nigeria's tax authorities have slapped a $2 billion tax bill on South Africa's telecoms company, MTN. MTN, however, notes that it is in talk with Nigeria's Attorney General about an investigation into tax compliance and insisted that it has paid all of its taxes. The telecoms company says its total payment of around $700 million fully settles the amount owing under the time in question. The tax demand is the latest in a series of clashes between MTN and the Nigerian government. Last week, the Central Bank of Nigeria ordered its Lagos-based units to pay over $8.1 billion that is said was illegally sent abroad. South Africa's economy has officially slipped into a technical recession after its gross domestic product GDP declined by 0.7% in the second quarter of 2018. The decline in the second quarter follows a 2.6% decline in the first quarter of this year. Now, according to statistics, the decline in GDP was led by agricultural production that fell by 29.2% in the second quarter of 2018, following a 33.6% plunge in the first quarter. Now, South Africa experienced its last recession during the 2008-2009 global financial crisis, with 3 consecutive quarters of economic decline. Let's now take a look at the stock markets. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Nigerian stock market closed today with a 0.28% increase in the all-share index, that is, recovering from yesterday's 0.03% decline. Now, the all-share index, as you can see, appreciated by 96 basis points because yesterday it closed at 34,837 basis points. Well, as we can see today, it is at 34,933.68 basis points. Now, the market capitalization, on the other hand, appreciated by over 35 billion naira to close today at 12.753 trillion naira. Let's now take a look at the top gainers. Now, today we have Okomu Oil making this chart for the third consecutive day. Now, this was the fate of Total last week because Total topped the top gainers chart for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before it was turned around and it plunged. Now, Okomu Oil is on this chart for the third day, and it is followed by Zenith and Guaranty Trust Bank, which is making the chart for the second consecutive day. Now, the top losers, we have Nigerian Brewers, which is making this top losers chart for the third consecutive day. Now, ironically, they started making the top losers table after they granted 30 million naira to 100 Nigerians, that is to help them with their businesses, and it seems they are not being rewarded so good, but they are followed by PZ and UACN as well as Forte Oil, because I guess the three of them didn't have a very good day today. But Nigeria Breweries is, however, compensated as they're not so bad. UBA, actually, as we can see on the top traders chart, is making this table for the second consecutive day. And this follows the launch of the bank's app on WhatsApp. That is a Leo app. And with this app, the bank customers can pay bills, send money and do other things just by having the WhatsApp application, which is the most used application worldwide. And also this position on this top readers chart followed UBA's nomination of 4 new board members, that is adding to their members of board of directors, and it is followed by Access Bank. And they're making this chart after they announced that the 4th edition of their Lagos City Marathon will be holding on the 2nd of February in 2019. And we can see Stanbic here making the top traders chart for the third consecutive day. And this is despite the sanction placed on the bank by the CBN. So it seems investors' confidence was, however, not dented by that sanction placed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. But in summary, we can see that 240.460 million shares were traded in 3,400 deals, and they were all worth 3.605 billion naira. Now, let's take a look at the global stock market. Unlike yesterday, where the London Stock Exchange, recorded a gain, it is in the reds today, and it is also the same fate for Dow Jones and Nikkei. Now, Nikkei and Dow Jones were also in the reds yesterday, and they were also in the reds last week. So this is their third consecutive day in the reds, while we were expecting, an improvement for them yesterday. But I guess that's not the fate. That is not what they got today. But let's hope there will be better result for the global stock market tomorrow. Well, that's a look on activities on the Nigeria stock market and the global stock market. Now it's over to you, Esther.
Oh, I guess we're getting a quick break from the Nigeria Stock Exchange, increasing by 0.28% compared to yesterday's 0.30%. Yeah, Fidelia?
Yes, you're very correct, Esther. Well, actually, it was 0.03% yesterday.
Okay, that's good. And then on the global market, we have every one of them in the reds. But we're in the green today, so I guess that's good for us, yeah?
Yes, you're very correct. Like, the Nigeria Stock Exchange is making huge gains these days, unlike the previous time. But we hope it continues in this trend.
Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a good market as well. So thank you, Fidelia, for bringing us up to date on the latest development in business. But right now we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll focus on...
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
My name is Alero. I am not sick. I just need you to help put your stamp on this medical report. I want to tender it at my office as a sick leave. I'll pay 10,000 naira.
Ma'am, that is impersonation. I'm not a doctor.
Oga, be like say this English no go pay. I go increase the money to 20,000 naira. I beg. If I give you that 20,000, as you wide so, if it still help your condition more. So, you don't say you spread well.
As I spread like virus, I'll be.
You talker.
Come out! If person come your hospital, talk to make you give a fake medical report, make you go take collect sick leave. Talk and say, no, na corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Oh, you're welcome back. Now, the highest court in the Democratic Republic of Congo has barred the opposition leader, Jean-Pierre Bemba, from running in the presidential election due in December, for upholding a ruling by the Electoral Commission. Bemba, a former warlord, was ruled ineligible because of a conviction at the International Criminal Court for bribing witnesses. Now, the popular opposition figure was recently acquitted for war crimes by the court after spending 10 years in detention. Last month, he returned home to a rousing reception from his supporters and was thought to be one of President Joseph Kabila most feared electoral rivals. Amnesty International says hundreds of people have been detained and tortured by South Sudanese authorities during the civil war which began in 2013. The rights group says many of them are political detainees accused of being linked to the opposition, and there have been cases of detainees being sexually assaulted and cases of enforced disappearance. Amnesty also says the South Sudanese government has become increasingly intolerant of any form of criticism. A spokesman for President Salva Kiir has denied the allegations. In sports, Al Nassr's Ahmed Musa and Shangchun Yatai's forward Odion Igalo have joined Nigeria's camp as the number of invited players for Seychelles increased to 18 as at lunchtime on Tuesday. Coach Gennett Royce relaxed despite missing the trio of Alex Iwobi, William Troost Ekong, and Ola Aino for the encounter and will not draft in any replacements. Now, the injuries are a blow to Eagles, who will also be without their captain, Mikel Obi. However, despite the high-profile absentees, the editor of Sports Village Square, Kunle Sholaja, believes the Eagles have enough in their arsenal to defeat the Pirates.
Without Mikel, without Moses, and even 2 or 3 other regulars, if we are unable to beat Seychelles, then we have no reason to say we have a national team. Seychelles does not belong to one of those top-grade teams that you lose your sleep over. That is not, however, to say that they are a walkover. You sometimes discover that when you are meeting lower teams, that's especially if you are highly rated, there is the possibility for such team to put in the very best of their effort, which may be frustrating to you as a stronger team, and in the end, you don't get the result. But barring any upset, I expect that the Nigerian team, even with Chan Eagles, should still be able to hold their ground against Seychelles.
Now, Sholaja also spoke on the decision by the league management body to cut short the Nigerian league early. He commended the clubs for taking the decision, insisting they were left with no option.
CAF had, at the beginning of the year, had given all its affiliates, all the countries, that their league they must submit the names of their representatives for continental matches latest by October 15 this year. And with October 15 looming, and we have 14 weeks to go, there is no way, we don't even have up to 14 weeks from now to that October 15 deadline. So, and what it also means is that even if those clubs were to play, the logistics are not just there. That means even if you ask them to play 2 matches, like a club will leave Aba now to go to Maiduguri to play a match on a Saturday, that means that club must have left by Thursday. And by the time it plays that match on Saturday, the following day, Sunday, must be coming back. And it has a Wednesday match, probably arriving on Monday. Probably be able to train on Tuesday if there is no, if they still feel they are fit. By Wednesday, they go and play. What kind of football will you expect? And then the next weekend they travel again. So it's not possible. I think what they did was to apply how we call the doctrine of necessity.
Mbebe faced Rayon Sports in the CAF Confederation Cup quarter-final, with Cara Brazzaville squaring up against Raja Club Athletic. The two-time African champions tamed Brazzaville 1-0 in their last group game to finish as Group C winners and have been rewarded with a meeting against the Rwanda National Football League side, who finished as Group D runner-ups. Now, Usman Abdelhaz's men traveled to State Regional Nyami Rambo Kagili for the first leg billed for September 16, before hosting the return leg 7 days later. And now Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho has reached a deal with the Spanish tax authorities to serve 1 year in prison in a tax evasion case. Mourinho is unlikely to serve any time in jail under the deal because Spanish law states that a sentence of under 2 years for a first offense can be served on probation. He is in the latest in a long line of top football stars, including Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, to be given the fine and suspended sentences for tax offenses in Spain. Well, that's it on News Now. You can watch some of our other programs on our website at www.tv360nigeria.com, or you can download our app on Play Store. It is TV360 Nigeria. You can also watch us live on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360online. We're on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360 Nigeria. We're also live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria. And we are also on Google+. And our handle is TV360 Nigeria. Thank you very much for watching. I am Esther Vese.